Okay, well I'm just checking my elders weather map here, and it's telling me that today is going to probably be the last nice warm day we're going to have for a while. And being that it's been such a bloomin' Indian summer, which is a long autumn, we haven't really had any rain and we haven't had any cold weather. We've had a few cold nights, but we haven't had... Anyway, so it's telling me we might get a shower of rain tomorrow, so I thought today we better come out here and get some of these girls started to get ready for winter. So anyway, we're just going to get them set up for overwintering. We've got the girls out here. We had to bring them in from the scrub because they're been so jolly dry. The mallee decided it didn't want to flower, and there hasn't been any other wildflowers down there. So I've just brought them in here so they can use up their, well, they can catch a little bit of pollen from around here, which I don't think they're going to get over fat on the flowers here at the minute, but at least there is some. Where they were before, there wasn't any. Of course, that's why the migratory beekeepers move to where the flowers are, so they can get the honey flow. But anyway, I haven't got too many migrating spots yet, unless you... So if you want to email me, and if you've got somewhere where I can put some ladies, if you're in South Australia, perhaps not Texas, because that could get a bit weird on the ship. So anyway, there's a few options with wintering your bees. You can put a nice mat on the top of the brood chamber. You can put another board on the top. Really depends how cold your place is. Some places in America, or even in Canada and Europe and around the joint, they got to wrap the boxes up so they can keep the girls warm, or put them in a shed. My plan for winter bees is that I'm actually just going to, because these girls have got a reasonable amount of honey, so I'm actually just going to take the queen excluder out and put that up there, out or on the top of them, or I don't know, depends where it fits. And then I'm just going to let them so they can move around the hive themselves, so they don't have, when they cluster up for the winter, they can move around the hive where the honey is, and hopefully they can all stay together and stay fed, which is what I did last year with a few of them, and that worked well. And then when I get into spring, it's kind of cool, because then you can basically just take the two boxes apart and you've got two new brood boxes. I've got some new queens ordered, so as I'll be able to put a new queen in one and find the old queen in the other, or leave her in there, depending on these. Some of these I want to requeen the whole lot because they're psycho insanity. There's some in here that bloody, I reckon they're not Africanized, but hell, they're close to it. So anyway, we're just going to rip the lids off, pull them apart. I think the pine needles do a good job. Look at that. Woo-hoo. Toot toot. Pack a few in there. Bit like what Bill said, you know, you can use all sorts of stuff, old early rags, or bits of hessian sack, or cow shit, or horse shit, or whatever it was. And then, but pine needles are pretty cool. Although I did try the metho idea that he suggested, and I don't know, I still screw that shit up. So I think I basically set fire to the back of my ute one time with that crap. So I've gone back to the paper idea. So the cameraman graciously didn't put that on the line, me setting fire to the back of the trailer. So we'll just let that get itself organised, put our suits on, and we'll pop our heads in the boxes while it's a nice warmish day, and see what the ladies do. And now, don't do this when it's really cold and miserable, because if you open the brood box on a cold miserable day, it's not a good option for them. Not only will they get the shits up, that you might do a bit of damage to the precious brood that they've got for the winter. One thing about this, you know, I was thinking the other day, when I was a young fella and I used to have a few cigarettes and trying to hide the smell of smoke from my parents, you know, so you'd have the chewing gum and you'd have the bloody whatever, or you'd get on the fireplace or around the fire and get a bit of smoke on you. I was thinking as a young fella, you know, you could actually have a few cigarettes and no one would know what the fuck happened, would they? You'd smell like smoke all the time. Shall we start at the beginning, or shall we start in the middle and just be something stupid? Nah, we'll start at the start. So we'll just give these girls a little bit of smoke. Hello, ladies. Yes, yes, yes. No, bloody happy. There's no need to get too carried away with smoking them, because you don't want them to get excited and waste too much of their jolly honey, and because this is pretty much what they go and do, and have a bit of a feed on honey. So they don't need to get too excited. But then some of these, having said that, some of these along here might get a bit extra smoke because, yeah, they're psycho. I don't know what they are, but they're definitely insane. A bit like me. I think I had that quote, wasn't it? I'm not insane, I'm just a little eccentric. I think that was on the, I don't know what bloody interview that was, the lad film, but anyway. I'm just going to prise that off a bit. See what's going on. So, look at that one. Look at that lot there. Cool, we'll just have a bit of a look here, see if they've got sort of... I don't think they've got a lot of stores, because where they were before they come back here, they were doing it pretty tough. But, yeah, they're picking up a little bit of nectar, but Not very much. I think they're probably eating the stuff more than anything. Although this next one along's got a bit. Oopsie. Don't bang them if you can possibly help it. They hate getting banged. Well, that's got a bit more weight on it. So they got a bit of storage up here. Anyway, I'm not 100% sure, and I'm sure we'll get some feedback as to whether this is a bloody good idea or not. But we're going to do it on these few anyway, because I want to change them up. We're going to take the queen excluder out, put that on the top, put the lid back on, and then they get ladies in the when they make it a little cluster, they can move around and be wherever the honey is. Well, in theory, I don't know. I'm sure the lad will get some emails and we'll find out what everybody out there in bee world thinks. So when we lift the next bit up, they're going to go completely off their friggin' nut. So this is where the main, as you can see, there's not a lot of bees up the top. They're all starting to go down here where the queen is to keep her warm. And so, I don't know, the other theory is you can put basically more the lino, pretty much, a couple of bits of lino on the top of there to keep them a bit warm and stop the mildew and dripping down on them. But I'm going to give this a go and see what I reckon, see what happens. We're doing this because it's about 25 degrees here at the minute, which is quite nice and mild, and there's no wind and there's no chance of it raining. It's going to rain tomorrow, they reckon, and tomorrow's going to be about 15. So if you're doing this, you've got to make sure it's a nice warm afternoon. Or, you know, don't do this in the middle of winter. If you've left it too long, we'll just leave them alone. They're better off without your interference if it's too cold. Now you can see where they're getting a little bit cranky here. Hopefully they don't get too crazy. Some of them will get a bit silly. We might just have a look at the brood since it's not a bad day and this box isn't completely stupid. Let's see what they've stored down here and see whether this is a crazy idea or not. Yeah, so they're not really over fat in here. So they've got a bit of honey down here, which is good. They don't like you playing around in their home. They get a bit shitty with you. So she's still laying, which is good. See, she's got a few little bits of eggs and a few larvae and a few bits and pieces going on in here. Not, like I said, not a hell of a lot of honey, but they had a bit of a bad run before they got to where they are now. So we'll just put this back on here. Oh, there's a bit Rhapsody rule, isn't it? That's not going to work because that's actually an adapted 8-frame to a 10-frame box. Here's something you shouldn't do, children. See, down here, I inherited these boxes. So we've got a 10-frame box at the bottom and an 8-frame box at the top, and the lads run a strip of wood either side just so it'll fit together. That wasn't me, I inherited this. Well, I think a lot of these boxes come next spring are going to get the chop. So I reckon, because look at this, I mean some of this is pretty sad. So, especially when you try to move them, holy shit, they just come running out of all the holes and go completely stupid. So I think there's a bit of renovation needed to be done. That'll be fun during the winter. This one seems fairly light. We've had a couple that either they haven't got too much honey in their supers, so those ones we're not going to take the queen excluder out. We're going to take the super away. Yeah, there's not too many ladies upstairs. I reckon this might have got, these are basically brand new frames anyway, so I reckon this might have been the one that I basically put the super on at the end of the honey flow, thinking that, you know, but then the honey flow stopped. So we'll see what's going on underneath here. Oh, yeah, there's nothing in that at all. I haven't got a lot of store in there either. But there's a few girls going, so I'm not going to pull it apart because they're already stressing out enough with what we're doing here. In this situation, you just want to take your super away, because then they've got a bit of stores down here at the bottom. You know, like if you take the super away from them, they don't need to waste a whole lot of energy trying to keep this big space warm, because that's what they're going to have to do very shortly. They're going to have to keep each other warm, so they're going to all cuddle up together and fatten their little wings and keep each other warm like a little ball. It's probably hard to imagine that it's going to be a ball on a square frame, but they're pretty clever. They work it out and they get into a little nucleus. So really this is just another problem for them, that they have to keep shit warm. So we'll take that away, put that in storage, put a bit of stuff to keep the wax moth out of it. Next spring when things are rocking, come back out here and this will all be full of honey. So, just give these guys a little bit of smoke. Now these couple of boxes here were actually ones that I did earlier on when the honey flow was still going and it was a nice bit of nectar. These are actually a couple of, like there's a bit of brood stock I didn't mind keeping because they're actually pretty relaxed. They've got a bit of Italian blood in them, I think. So they're a little bit more sensible than this girl over here who's buzzing the crap out of a cameraman at the minute. And so this is what I did, or what I'm planning on doing with the rest of these in the spring, because these didn't have a queen excluder and these two boxes were together, and I just separated them off, turned that one around the opposite way so as it could get, it would think it was a new hive, and they bred up a new queen from their eggs and larvae, and then we got two. So that's my plan for the spring. They didn't have ideal conditions when I split them off. Well, actually when I took them apart they were doing quite well, and then it decided it didn't want to rain. So things went a bit awry, so I'm not really sure. I've had a bit of a poke around in here, so we'll see what sort of stores they've got. I've left them here, they've been here for about 3 weeks now I reckon, so hopefully the ladies aren't too mad with me.
Oh, they stuck the bloody lid down anyway. That's a good start. Come on.
Oh, heck Harry. And here's the queen excluder that I've stored under here.
Let's have a look at you.
Well, they look pretty cool.
They look alright. Look at that lot.
All we'd need to do right now is crush the queen, wouldn't it? That'd be just fucking brilliant. A bit of nectar on that one. There's not much brood going on here, so hopefully they got a queen in here somewhere. Otherwise that'll be shit. They'll have to have, because they've got a lot more bees in here than when I put them in here.
So we'll see what we've got.
Ah, here we go, look at that. Now that's why I kept her. Check that shit out. There she is and all. I'll put her back quick. Anyway, she's got some nice genetic, she's got a beautiful pattern. She's actually a bloody nice queen. So I thought that'd be cool. But now, she's on the bloody frame right there, so I'm going to prise this one across. There's nothing on it. Rather than sliding the frame down where she is, we'll just slide this bit of honey across to her. Cool, that's pretty impressive. So anyway, that's the plan for next spring. Except the angry girls are going to get new queens. Obviously these girls are going to get a super. So that's the plan. And we'll see what happens. Stay tuned to the Bush Bee Man and we'll find out what the hell happened next spring. Well, hopefully we'll have some other shit going on before next spring, but